Good morning. It's March 14th, or shall we say it's Pi Day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How many digits can you go out, Banks? After 3.14.
That's about it.
159 after that, right now.
And 7.
917, yeah.
That's 7, okay.
Okay, I'm Darrell Banks, County Commissioner. This is the commissioners, fellow commissioners, Tony Vero, Cliff Mears, our clerk, Stacy Crawl, our administrator, Andrew Keller. We've been joined by Erica Thomas from the Soil and Water and Steve Risser from Building Department and Mark Timberlake. Greg, I'm sorry. Mark's a good friend of mine, lives in Belleville. And online we have Carl Hunnell, only Carl Hunnell, the only Carl Hunnell. So we are here to talk about an MOU for stormwater engineering. So you two have the floor.
Gentlemen, thank you. Good morning. We're here today. We've had some discussion with regards to the stormwater regulations within the county. Soil and Water recently lost the services of their engineer that handled their commercial stormwater reviews to assist.
This weather just for the storm.
We could,
Very appropriate.
It's a cloud, I can say that.
but Soil and Water lost the services of their engineer that assisted the district staff with the stormwater review, primarily the commercial plans, so larger jobs that have some engineering components to them. And had approached us, coming back and giving them some assistance, myself being a registered engineer, that I could provide that work. We did it before, the offices are coordinated together as it is, just for assistance with stormwater regulations, assistance with building code enforcement throughout the county. So I've got some experience doing that. We did it before. It was a great relationship. By all means, the engineer that worked for him before was a great guy as well. He just had some change in personal circumstances that he wasn't any longer able to do that work. But I think it strengthens our relationship and more so importantly, it benefits our county residents and our contractors and our people that are looking to develop here in the county. It streamlines the process a little bit more. We're right down the hall in the same building. We've got very good rapport. We've got very good communication between the offices. Provides a little more accessibility. Primarily my interactions with the engineers when we've got questions on the larger plan, sometimes the contractors as well, but it'll help to make for a lot better experience development wise for the people that those regulations would affect. So
They're gonna charge mileage when you go from your office to hers.
Yeah, and probably to the 100%, but,
You can count the steps for
yeah.
that.
start billing per step. No. Just in preliminary discussions, we had some real high level discussions with the Board of Commissioners. Chatting with Erica, her staff and the district board. We kept the fees the same. This isn't by any means a moneymaker for us. We do recover some of the fees that are in the current fee schedule, the $300 per review and the $50 per hour. In today's engineering world, that's probably a bargain. But I think we can make it work with what those current fees are. It keeps the fees light, keeps the fees down somewhat, somewhat reasonable for the customers. Helps us recoup a little bit, in our office from my time. One thing to note, I did not discuss this in detail with the Soil and Water Board yesterday, but when these fees come back to us, we've asked that the fees go back to our capital purchase account to help pay for equipment. This doesn't necessarily give us raises. This isn't any additional salary for myself. I'll be the only one in the office that really handles this type of work. But it's a way for us to have a little bit extra money in the equipment line item that we can use to buy computers and tablets and technology. So
You feel, first off, thank you for picking up the additional work. Do you feel there's any additional equipment you need right now, since you've been in a little bit now? Is there something we can do to help? It's a good time while you're here. You're good. Anything we can do to assist?
right now, I mean, looking at the budget, I've been going through the budget. We'll see where things are at the end of the first quarter. The immediate answer to that is no. There was a good balance here in the equipment fund. We actually already have a couple purchase orders through to upgrade some equipment, buy some additional equipment. So I think we're rolling good.
I can't see any downside to this arrangement. I mean, you're local, whereas the status quo is a remote review.
Mhm.
So you can have that face-to-face dialogue and it's advantage to the taxpayers, the residents, our customers. The one-stop shop, as you so well articulated, Steve.
I think moving forward, this would be very good because contractors, people building things, I think it's still the same steps, but I think it'll be a little bit easier on them. That's
Right.
the most important part.
By steps, you probably mean about 20,
I know it might be more than
a
that.
little more.
I've got a long stride, but one of the other things just to note, historically is the reason is, we've got at least 3 very capable engineering firms locally here that could do this work. The reason for not subcontracting it out to them would also be, if they get a job in the county, there becomes some conflict of interest that you've got to manage. The guys that are designing shouldn't be the ones that are reviewing, and rightfully so if they take on the review contract, and that kind of limits their ability to market themselves to work here locally as well. So
They wouldn't touch it for $300 either.
yeah, and plus for the fee schedule too. Yeah, that would,
So you're a cheap date.
Yes.
we're a very cheap date. Yes.
One point to clarify, our customers have not known who the engineer is, so they would not know that things change because we don't disclose the outside engineer. So
Okay.
if you would like to do that, that's your call, but we've never done that in the past.
I think we touched on that a little bit, and by all means, I have no problem with that.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of times from doing this in years past, one of our big things, promoting our review and trying to enforce the codes, but getting codes in general off their critical path to development. Trying to make sure reviews are quick, they're effective, and they're open, meaning like if we've got problems, if we see something that like, hey, this isn't lining up, it's usually a quick phone call at first to say, hey, are we on the same page? Did we get anything? So by all means, there's a real open line of communication with engineer,
Sure.
contractor, whoever submits
That's
to.
awesome.
Well, then, this is easy. Motion
Yeah.
to approve.
Second,
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mears?
yes. It's our good fortune that you're licensed for this kind of work and you're right in the same building.
Absolutely. We're very.
Better.
Carl may have a question, so hold on.
Carl, questions?
Yeah, thank you very much and good morning. Steve and Erica, what sort of work does the engineer do when it comes to these stormwater things that he would be doing for soil and water? Kind of maybe give me some examples and describe the actual work.
Carl, typically, the review work revolves around the true engineering portion of site development with regards to stormwater. So estimating rainfall, calculating how much water is going to be generated by that rainfall, and what does the proposed site, how's that rainfall or how's that stormwater runoff routed? You know, if you've got a large parking lot, if you've got grass, if you've got catch basins and pipes, how do we control all that and properly discharge that so we're not creating an adverse effect to adjacent property owners? There's some engineering work and some calculations that go behind that.
And
And
we're required to have a certified engineer review those calculations, so I don't have someone on staff that has those credentials.
there's quite a few revised code sections, Ohio revised code sections, when it comes to design in general. When you have a design professional, which would be a licensed architect or a registered engineer, that does such design, then also that such work is reviewed by someone of the same credentials. And that's really the reason where the engineer's license comes into play.
Okay, Steve, is there a certain certification other than just being an engineer that you have to get to do that specific kind of work, or does that just kind of fall under the general engineer background?
There's not any sort of certain certification, which is different from our building code work. But as a registered engineer in the state, ethically, I'm required to practice within my areas of competence. So you really have to have somebody that's competent to do the work. And I mean, I had, prior to working for the county, I had some stormwater design and some construction work. And then as well serving for the engineer for the board. Or serving as it was at the time, the title was stormwater engineer under the regulations. That was 9 years worth of work doing that. So there's no specific certification that's required other than the engineer's license and competence in the field.
And Erica, who was doing this work for you previously?
What to say?
Oh, it was a public contract.
Okay, Bruce Verdanier was the person we were contracting with. He was from Shelby, and last year he got a position at Purdue University and moved.
Dean of
Daryl's a
Engineering.
big fan of Purdue.
So we were working with him remotely, which was working out, but he approached me in January and said, "Hey, I heard that Steve Risser's back in town." And as it turned out, he was going to have to renew his insurance, liability insurance, and they were really raising the cost on him this year, and he was not really wanting to do it. So he was the one that suggested reaching out to Steve, which I had actually reached out to Steve several years ago and it didn't work out at that time. So I was happy to do that again.
And this one last question. What's the volume of work associated with this? I guess people might wonder how often these things have to be have to be renewed or reviewed. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So it depends on how many commercial permits we have, because those are the ones that end up going to Steve. I think last year for Bruce, we had about 20 that he reviewed. So it really depends on how many permits come in through the county.
And these
And-
are just for commercial.
It is. And
Okay.
it's for the unincorporated areas of the county and the village of Lexington.
Okay. Well, thank you both very much. I appreciate it.
We thank you too for coming.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Erica.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. Good to see you guys.
Stay dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can I get a motion to go in the executive session
Oh, do you want to do
Oh,
that?
that's at 10, so we can't really do that.
Right. So let's go down to other. And the first thing would be to certify the record of proceedings for March 20.
Second.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow?
Yes. And we approve requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
You don't have to.
I talked too soon.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Okay, can we approve weekly transfers and appropriations?
So moved.
Second with a question. So I see a request for additional appropriations in Fund 104. I currently show that as a negative balance, Stacy.
I shouldn't have it. They have a negative cash balance?
Uh-huh, check it out, the Munis.
I'll approve that one.
Just make sure you're the Munis expert.
I did not at that because
Take a quick peek.
the auditor's real estate fund, so.
I show negative 616,910.22.
Sure. I'm just gonna say the same thing mine is.
No, I always defer to you, you're smarter.
My cash balance won't come up in here, so I can't.
So here, and I'll let Cliff look at it, so it shows I'm not.
So Tony, you're suggesting it's in the same condition as the land bank at this point?
Yes.
A significant shortcoming.
Yeah, so I'd say approve, make a motion to approve all but the real estate until probably just some monies,
I don't.
right, for settlement, so. Motion to approve. Including the 104.
Second, as noted.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mears?
Okay, we have a amendment to the telephone service agreement with IC Solutions.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Okay, and can we get a approval for a utility permit application from Firelands Electric for work on Lucas Perrysville Road?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Approval for amendment number 1, PK elevator for the maintenance agreement.
Carol, before we do that, do you want to do the engineers, additional business for the utility permit to do it together? There's an additional request from Ohio Power Company to remove and replace an aerial transmission line. We want to do that?
Sure.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Banks?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes.
Mears?
Yes.
Now I'll make the motion then that we approve addendum number 1 to the TK elevator. And again, Andrew, smarter than me. This simply switches the maintenance responsibility over as we work on our new elevator. So we needed to get this in place. Is that correct? So I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
And final thing under other is to approve the final 911 plan.
Motion.
Second.
For clarification, it is the current plan we have and that we're operating 911. The state law changed. Approval. Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Barrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mears?
Yes.
Why don't we take a short recess till 10 o'clock? Carl, did you have any questions on any of that?
Do you anticipate taking action after the executive session or no?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can let you know if you want, Carl.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. You ready to recess?
Yes, we will recess 9:48 and we will recess until 10 o'clock.
I don't know.
Hey, this is 10 o'clock and we're back in session.
Don't go into it.
Okay, we're going to go into executive session, compensation of a county employee.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
So we're. No action. Okay, it's 10:17 and we are back in session. And at this time. Took no action. Adjourn at 10:17.